From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you into this Tuesday's edition of For the People for this July the 25th, 2017. And some news about Paul Manafort and Russian collusion and all this. The Senate Judiciary Committee, they issued a subpoena last night to compel former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort's appearance at what they call a public hearing for tomorrow. Now, this move comes after lawmakers and Manafort apparently were unable to reach an agreement for a private interview, and this hearing is part of the panel's probe, once again, into Russian meddling and potential collusion with Trump campaign officials in the 2016 presidential election. So more of this garbage, but this has to play out. It's got to play out. The probe started. It's going to end. It'll be interesting to see how this all goes down, but we knew it was coming. It's a developing story. But, again, the attorneys for Manafort apparently were not able, to reach an agreement for the private interview that they were hoping for. And, again, part of this probe by the panel into meddling. Will they be able to glue it on Manafort? Oh, they'd love to get it on somebody. They're hoping if they can't get it Trump directly, can't get it Trump Jr., they got to get it on somebody. Come on, there's got to be a little Russian dressing on somebody, right? Got to like it. I've told you I like beef stroganoff, but I haven't liked it, and it's really ruined my appetite from having a Russian meal. I love a good stroganoff. My mother makes the best in the world, and I have a recipe, by the way. I think she's leaving an ingredient out. I'm not positive, but I think there's something that she does that she hasn't told me. I'm about there. And she shared some things over the phone, but I just don't think it's exactly the way. And nobody makes it like Mom. I mean, Mom just, it's love. That's what it is. There's extra attention that's given. Well, here we go in the Persian Gulf again today. This is breaking news for today. The Navy, is in the Persian Gulf and doing its patrols. And the Iranians show up. But this time, guess what happened? The U.S. Navy coastal patrol ship fired warning shots from its .50 caliber machine gun at an Iranian patrol boat when it came within 150 yards of the ship. This is according to the U.S. Defense Department, and the Iranian ship ignored repeated radio calls. And this is where it got provocative here. Ignored the radio calls from the USS Thunderbolt, which also launched flares before this to warn of them fastly approaching, and they did not react, so we had to blast a few out of the .50 caliber machine gun. And this happened today, as the formation of U.S. Navy warships was doing an exercise in the northern Persian Gulf, and it's the first time since really January since Navy warships have fired warning shots at an Iranian vessel which approached too close. We cannot forget the crap with our Navy guys. Remember that? They stalled out and their hands up. I just don't see that happening anytime soon under the Trump administration. I'm glad that we're showing some brass. And because now our military actually can show some cojones. You exercise restraint, which they did. They did the flares. They did the radio calls. This is standard operating material, and they still didn't back down. I think it's just a testing. I think they want to see where things stand with this president, with the military, and I think they got exactly what they needed coming from them. and from our military. But there was a time, folks, and I've been talking to some friends about this, military and non-military, that just pay attention, but they don't fear us like they used to. And it's because, again, of the lax leadership, of the leading from behind mentality that Barack Obama brought for 8 years. You didn't build it. You didn't do this. You didn't build this country. Let somebody else do it. Let somebody else do it, okay? That's the hope and change you need. Dear God. The only thing that this guy could have done is made a speech sound good and had a little swag when he was jumping, trying to get a basket off Air Force One. Now, come on, you know he's always jogging. And I don't want anybody saying, oh, see, you're being racist. No, he was always jogging. I thought it was cute. I think it was fun. He was very energetic, had a lot of energy, had a little swag. You know, Trump, he doesn't jog up the stairs. He doesn't do that. That's not him. It's not. Every president has his style. But again, I've said this so frequently, and the first hour I was gloating a little bit over the president. So if you missed it, I'm proud to see that the guy is doing something. He's doing things. He cares. If he didn't care, he wouldn't make any changes at all. He wouldn't ridicule or rake anybody over the coals. Listen, if you don't like somebody's performance, if somebody's not getting the job done, and they're not loyal, you're going to make some changes. And I think this is Trump's way of going public, and he's got the Twitter sphere, he's got the Facebook. He knows he's going to get the attention of the media, and who better to get the word out after the tweet from the president that he's dissatisfied. And, of course, that goes loud and clear to the attorney general or anybody else you might be dissatisfied because you can accomplish so much so soon. It's amazing what you can get done. But anyway, with all the things that are happening today on Capitol Hill, the health care bill, that's the biggest deal. And John McCain coming in for that vote, it's going to be very, very important. I think something beautiful is going to happen with that particular thing. We're learning more about the truck driver that we've been talking about there in the terrible tragedy that happened in San Antonio over the weekend. But the driver from Clearwater, he's been identified. And we're learning more about his legal status and all that other kind of stuff. Well, he's legal, but his driver's license wasn't legal. Turns out it was revoked in April. Yeah. James Matthew Bradley Jr. of Clearwater, Florida. He appeared in court and charges of illegally transporting immigrants for financial gain, resulting in death. And he did not enter a plea. He didn't say anything about what happened and was held for another hearing on Thursday of this week. But the Florida driver records obtained by several news agencies show that the state had Bradley's commercial driving privileges revoked in April. But that didn't stop him for this. And then there were some other documents that were obtained by the Associated Press that showed Bradley had a criminal record dating back to the 1990s and spanning multiple states. Here's one. 1997, Bradley pleaded guilty in a felony domestic violence case in Colorado, was sentenced to 2 years probation. Rich Orman, Chief Deputy District Attorney in the 18th Judicial District in suburban Denver, was telling the AP records indicate supervision of Bradley's probation was transferred to Gainesville. So this guy is definitely a criminal. And then, let's see, accused of driving a tractor trailer where 10 illegal immigrants were found dead. Well, we know this. He was arrested in Ohio. Here it is, 1988. And extradited to Colorado for violating his probation, according to Orman. Records show that the time Bradley was also wanted by a Texas agency for an unknown charge, and then another probation violation complaint came in 1999. But Bradley wasn't arrested, and he returned to Colorado until 2003. He was eventually sentenced to 3 years in a halfway house. But he violated terms of that sentence, and apparently walking away from the facility. And then in 2005, was sentenced to 1 year in Colorado prison And there you go. He was released in 2007, according to the Department of Corrections, and remains on parole until 2009. And then authorities list Bradley as being from Clearwater. But his fiancée, in an interview with the AP, said that he had been staying in Louisville for a couple years. So Fox 13, our local affiliate here, which is a stone throw away from this building where I'm doing the broadcast off West Kennedy Boulevard, said he was arrested for a grand theft auto here in this county, Hillsborough County, though it was unclear what year the incident occurred or what became of the charges. Well, he did this for gain, folks. He was a criminal looking to make some money and got a bunch of people killed, a lot of people hurt. And it's got our Homeland Security right now on the move. A lot more trucks are going to be searched like never before, and rightly so, cracking down on human trafficking. We'd heard of 3 in a trunk in a car, so it's not just trucks this is done, but this is big money, human trafficking, and what people do to get over the borders. And we mentioned this yesterday at length, talking about the sanctuary cities that grant the safe haven. And as long as they do that, we're going to have continued people taking the chance, taking the risk to make that extra loot. And if people die, well, that's just kind of collateral damage for some people. They'll take that chance to do it if they pay the money, and if they end up dead. There were some vents, by the way, in that tractor trailer, some, but just not near enough with temperatures. You don't have an frequent air or any air conditioning in the back there, and you're getting up over 100 degrees, you're gonna dehydrate real quick, and nobody had water. How do you stay alive for very long like that? That's a very, very difficult thing. Moving to a different story here. This has to do with little preparations going on in the peninsula of North Korea, in that area, where folks are thinking that war could be inevitable, possibly with North Korea and the United States. And China is getting ready for it, well, eventualities, if it should come down to this, because Trump is growing amazingly dissatisfied with China not cracking down and actually shipping items over to North Korea and doing trade still, giving them what they want and appeasing them. Well, the Chinese military has reported that they're building up their defenses along its border with North Korea that coincide with warnings by, again, Trump that he's considering military action over the nuclear weapons push. And it doesn't seem like they're stopping anytime soon, which I didn't think they would. The Wall Street Journal, they're citing a review of official military and government websites in interviews with experts, reported that Beijing has built bunkers to protect against nuclear blast, established a new border brigade, and 24-hour surveillance of the mountainous frontier. So these preparations are intended to respond to the worst-case scenarios like a economic collapse, nuclear contamination, or a conflict. The experts was telling the paper, and the Chinese government has not spoken about it. This report of preparations, but an official from its defense ministry said in a statement that the forces maintain a normal state of combat readiness and training. A normal state. Military means shouldn't be an option to solve the Korean Peninsula, said a Chinese foreign ministry spokesman. So there you go, folks. Trump administration trying to find more effective ways to ramp up pressure for North Korea over its nuclear weapons. Pyongyang recent successful test of this intercontinental ballistic missile is one of the biggest reasons why Donald Trump is still watching fronts. And you see how busy it is with things happening all over the world, but this still remains to be one of the biggest threats that America has on its radar right now. We have a lot of folks that are to the south, military on that DMZ, and it's a very populated country to the south. Seems like things are not backing down, though. It seems like there might be another launch coming from the north. We don't know if it's intercontinental